Hello, friends. Welcome back to Begin As You Mean to Go On. I have such a treat for you today, a very tasty episode. Today, I've invited my friend and client and all-around amazing human, Adrianna Locke, to guest on the show and tell us about her journey. Adriana is an acupuncturist here in Portland, Oregon, where I live, and we've known each other for quite some time. And we knew each other socially, and then we worked together for about 18 months, and she's still inside of my boot camp. And you're going to get to hear from her today about her journey from being a one-on-one practitioner to moving her business into a different kind of model to really explore how can she actually be able to scale her business without burning out. Because especially as a health and wellness advocate and professional, burning out and working yourself to death is not a good look. It's not on brand. So I can't wait for you to hear her journey. Please enjoy. And if this is your first time with us listening to the podcast, I'm going to invite you to listen to this entire episode. And at the end, if you find this valuable, if you get some gems out of it, if you're feeling good and like that was worth your time, then I'm going to invite you at the end to go ahead and subscribe, to share, to leave that 5-star rating and review. And that's a way that you can just show appreciation and let other people know that this podcast is worth listening to. So go ahead and enjoy the episode and let me know what you think. Come on over to the Service CEOs group afterwards and let us know what you think. Thanks and enjoy. Welcome, Adriana. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy. So any excuse for us to hang out, really?
It's true.
Like, yes, let's do it. So tell everyone who you are and maybe a little bit about your intersectional identities that you're bringing to this discussion and what you do.
Yeah, awesome. I'm Adrianna Locke, and I live in Portland, Oregon. I'm an acupuncturist. I have a business called Zócalo Wellness. I'm mixed race. I'm the daughter of immigrants. I am queer, able-bodied, cisgendered, many more things. A new cat lover. That's also a new identity that I hold. I was never a cat lover before. But Avalon touched my heart. Yeah, and so I do healing work in Portland and now beyond.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So one thing that I love about your story is kind of how we came to work together and what a long, drawn out journey that was. Can I want to hear it from your perspective, actually.
I know it's like a love story, you know. We're like, and we saw each other from afar for years. I remember us meeting at a summit for business leaders. I think it was for women and folks of color in business or something like that. And you were talking about websites and WordPress. And at the time, I was building my own WordPress website. And I'm pretty sure I told you that. And I'm pretty sure your face was like, yeah, good luck with that. If you need any help. And I was like, I don't need any help. I got this. And then we kept seeing each other at concerts, I think. And most importantly, what I remember, grocery stores. And you would always update me on like how things were. And I was like, oh, awesome. Yeah, like that's what other people do. You know, like other people hire Karanda to like help with their websites and marketing. Like I'm a DIY, you know, scrappy acupuncturist.
So this is what I was so curious about. It's like, what's going in it? Because we would see each other either at Janelle Monáe concerts or the local grocery store. And you would say, I should call you about work stuff. And I would be like, yeah, cool. Like I'm here. And I've never really asked you like what was going through your mind. And so the DIY sort of scrappy identity and like that's for other people.
And incredible shyness. Like I thought you were really cool. And like, I was like, this is kind of what I do with people. I'm like, I really want to connect. And then I'm like, I'm too shy. Or I just would rather be home.
Yeah. Would you say you identify as an introvert?
I'm an extroverted introvert,
Okay.
actually. I
Yeah.
yeah, and I actually just had an astrology reading that confirmed that I am like at both extremes. The visual that the astrologer said was like it's like you're on a stage, the front of the stage, and you're proclaiming to the audience, "I am a very, very private person." And I was like, "Wow, you really got me."
Yeah,
So,
nailed
yeah.
it. Oh man. I
Yeah.
was just on Clubhouse doing a guest speaking thing, and the moderator kept saying like, "I really want to be your friend, so just let me know where I can put in my application for friendship."
That is the vibe
And
you give.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to create a whole new funnel like on the personal side. Look for my landing page on Karanda.com soon.
I love that. I love that. I
My
mean,
God,
that
it's
is
so
totally on brand for you, actually. You're like, marketing check. How to become friends with Karanda. Apply.
all right. So at some point, you actually did call me
I did.
for work
Yeah.
stuff. And what was the catalyst? Like, what finally tipped you over?
I totally remember. I think I told you this in our first meeting, which was I can't remember if it was a Facebook post or it might have been an email where you were talking about how Jess, your wife, was saying that online friends aren't real friends. And you got
Specifically,
sick.
Twitter. Yeah.
Okay, it was specifically Twitter, and you were sick. You got sick, and you're like, let me show you." And you asked someone to bring you soup or something, and they
I,
brought
I
you
just,
soup.
I, Yeah, I just tweeted like, I'm sick and I wish somebody would bring me chicken soup right now. And one of my Twitter friends who I had never met was like, I've got a bunch of chicken soup in my freezer. What's your address? And literally an hour later, I had chicken soup in my fridge.
I
And
thought
Jess came home from work and I was like waving the jar in her face. And I was like, see, Twitter friends are real friends.
I thought that was amazing because I was Jess. I was like, social media sucks, and I never want to be on it, and it's not real. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to look into this. Maybe I need to open my mind a little bit. And then we had a strategy session, and literally, I remember the sensation of my mind being blown open. And it's just been business love ever since.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I would say you are my first business stan. Like, you just kind of went on the rampage, and then all of a sudden, I have a bunch of wellness related clients. I'd be like, oh, there's another one, there's another one. And it's great because, my thing is mission driven, right? And what's more important than our health, like
Yeah,
being well,
yeah.
especially now. So I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
And then one of the other things that I love, and the other thing is that all the wellness clients I have now, like they come because they're jealous of where you're at now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you saw this writing on the wall and you kind of had this feeling like something's not right here and I need to be moving towards something else. So like talk about that journey of just being a practitioner, right? And just seeing clients one-on-one and to where you are now.
Yeah. I mean, I talk so much about self-care and as a doorway into like healing and evolution. And, so many of us healers, I think, come into the profession because we actually need healing, whether it's therapists or acupuncturists or whoever. And I was struggling with self-care. As a practitioner, I was finding myself burning out because I was trying to reach revenue goals. And I did, but then I found that anytime I tried to grow and see more people, I was just, I was hitting a brick wall to the point where I actually had a health crisis where I had to stop working for a period of time. And when I went back to work, I could never really get back up to that same momentum that I had been doing before. And I realized, and I was like, is this it? Is this the pinnacle of my professional career? And I was like, I got like I'm like, I'm clever. Like, let me figure this out. And I thought, well, I could buy a clinic, I could buy commercial property. Maybe that's the next step. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, Jeevan Singh, who is in Portland, and she was doing online stuff. Like nobody else I knew was doing online courses and classes. And I thought, yeah, like a lot of arrogant practitioners, I was like, online, you can't do healing work online. And and then Jeevan and I were at the spa one day, and she confided in me like how much she made the month before launching one of her courses. And I was like, oh my God, that's like thousands of dollars more than I had made in a month busting my butt. And I was even considered successful among my peers, And I was like, oh my gosh, leveraging online. And I knew enough to follow my jealousy. And I was like, let me see about this, let me see about this online thing. And I think that's when your email came about Jess. And I was like, okay, this person knows about online things. Let me check her out. And then, yeah. And it was like, it reminded me of when I first started my business, where I was like, what is business jargon? Like, I don't know what's going on, P&Ls and all this stuff. Online, like learning about online was the same thing. I was like, what is a funnel? What is this? What is email? What is like, what is talking to people online? And because I had built my business pretty much completely offline. I had tinkered with online, but I had really, it had been like in-person collaboration and, just people knowing me and finding me through other people. So it was a completely new experience to be online. But I could see instantly that was where scalability happened. I didn't know that word either, but I was like, that's how you make money and not burn out.
That's how I make money without killing myself.
Exactly. That's all I knew. I was like, wait a second.
Because the health crisis is definitely not on brand.
No, it's not. It's true. Although I did get some really good content out of that.
Well, sure.
But yeah, that's basically how it happened, the transition. And that was in 2019. I think it was the summer of 2019 that we started working together. And I was like, yeah, let me just, do this thing little by little, kind of like stay in the shadows. And then the pandemic hit and then all hell broke loose. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we worked together for a long time, because I think I was really trying to get women of color into boot camp. I was like, where do I find them? And so I did like mini boot camp.
That's right.
I knew that price was an issue for some folks. Mm-hmm. And so I did like a 4-week sort of abbreviated version, so people that could just like come in and get the taste, which I'm actually thinking about doing again. I might do that. And so you came into that. And so really it was like a 4-week commitment that turned into like this 18 months of, It's
true.
And so I think you came into that, and then you upgraded to like full boot camp, and then that ended. And then you made this confession. Do you remember about your website?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was like, my website doesn't exactly work. It's like, I can't remember what I said, but it was like a malware mess at that point. It was like, there were like ads. It like actually did not function. And it had been down for a year. I had been talking to a designer or a developer for a year. I was actually switching from WordPress to Squarespace.
I remember the moment you told me that. We were at open house, and you just kind of whispered, and I was like, no, that's not happening.
I feel like I've gotten
like we're not going backwards.
Yeah, and that just I think I've signed on to everything that you've offered almost like within the last 2 years or so. I'm sure there were other things, but yeah, the website, the boot camp, Insourced, all the things.
Yep. Yeah, and so we got your website fixed.
And can I just say, like, let me just stop, because like that sounds easy, but you literally like, okay, here's what I'll do for you. I don't do this for anybody. Don't tell anybody. But you're like, okay, we're gonna make you a website. We'll do it in a day, and it's gonna function. It's gonna be beautiful. And are you on board? I was like, apparently I have to say yes to this, because I would be a fool if I didn't. And you literally made me a website that is beautiful and functional to this day in a day. So I
think that was the last one. That was the last one that I did. So don't come to me, people.
Okay, no.
Don't
forget all of that. Don't be
like, it's fine. They can just be jealous and they miss the window. It's fine. But yeah, no, because I was just like, I can't let this happen. Friends don't let friends. It was a friends don't let friends moment, and I had to do it. So, and then pandemic hits, and you kind of were already burnt out on the one-to-one model, and you're exploring this online thing. And so then what was the next evolution of going online for you?
The next evolution was actually launching something, which was actually a part of a different mastermind that you turned me on to, that we were both in together. I'm trying to remember. I think it was this is so woo-woo, but it was literally in that mastermind. We had a retreat, and there was an astrologer, and she was talking about the astrology of like the next 6 months, and how there was literally no good time between, I think it was August and like December. And it was like the next day was like the new moon or something. And I was like, okay, I have to do it right now.
I remember this.
I had to do it right now. So the next day I put like a Facebook post out and basically launched this program that I had not created. Like it didn't exist yet. It had only been an idea. And it was an amazing, journey of learning and trial by fire. And it was, so it ended up being a 3-month program for women of color, basically like a self-care cohort, going through the Chinese medicine organ systems and moving with the seasons. So essentially a container to help people do in real life what I talk about, and give tools and just, like feel our way into self-care and community, because a lot of people were feeling really isolated with the pandemic. Yeah. And it was really incredible. And I learned so much and would not do it the same way again, but I'm glad that I did it.
I mean, that's always the way, right? It's like and people try to, I love that you're describing this, because so many people try to think their way into their next thing. They're like, I'm just going to sit on this for 6 months, and I'm going to think, I'm going to plan, and I'm going to journal. And it's like, you have to get into action, because the rubber's going to meet the road. Actual people are going to buy your thing or not, right? If no one buys it, then that's information. But if they do, and you go through it, then you learn like, oh, I love doing this thing, or I love doing this thing, but it's not what I want to do going forward, or I hate doing this. Like you just can't learn that by thinking about it. You have to take action. So I love that. And I loved, I was in the cohort, and I wasn't as active as I wanted to be, because all my shit was blowing up at the same time. Yeah. But the ones that I came to, I really loved. And the other thing I think that's important about that is just the community and the accountability. Like, I remember you talking so much about like, people know, they have the tools. Just like, what you're supposed to do to take care of yourself. We know. But that accountability is so important, and that community is so important to actually showing up for ourselves.
Yeah. And I love that about your programs too, because like your community is one of my favorite, it's like so authentic, which is so used. It's like we use way too much, but it feels true, And yeah, I mean, there's so much more I could say about that. And also through you, I feel like I learned how to risk um, risk thoughtfully. So like when I launched that, it really was with a Facebook post, and I learned that from you to like kind of put ideas out there and test. You know, like you use this like organic social media to be like, is this even interesting to people? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and even before you commit to actually technically launching something, and that's what I did, and I got a ton of feedback, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do this. You know, I guess
There's
this is
something there.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you signed on for Insourced, which you have bought
I
like
did.
everything that you do. Because then it's like, oh, I have to create this thing. And so I need to build a
Yeah.
course and I
Yeah.
need, like all these things. And so that was such a great process for me because Insourced was a new offer for me, basically based on coaching clients who had come through boot camp who then said like, oh, my tech, and just don't want to be mired in that. And so rather than trying to put together like custom proposals for this or that, it's like my people come through, like, y'all basically need the same stuff. Like, you need a place to host your paid content and you need, basic funnel and you need an application. And like, it's a lot of the same stuff because I have this particular niche of service providers. So I just try to take that and say, like, what are all the pain points I can take away from you? you
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
and so you were literally the first person to sign on for that, and it was great because I had already built the website, so we didn't have to deal with a janky website. And I'll tell you what, for probably 4 or 5 months, like, your funnel and your content and your organization was better than mine. Because there was nothing to undo. I was learning so much. I had just signed on with Chris Davis as a mentor. He was my first guest on this podcast. And so I was learning all this stuff from Chris that just immediately up-leveled what I was able to do with Insourced. And so I got to like put all that on you basically and be like, here's everything, like the absolute best I can offer you. And so for a while it was better than mine. Like we're cleaning up our house, but, that was just such a great process. And I want to just highlight and go back to talking about sort of the DIY scrappiness and that feeling of overwhelm of like, what's a funnel and what is scalability and what is, because I think it was maybe last week on our coaching call, you were like, I built my own automation.
Totally.
So, it's like full circle moment, like so proud.
Yeah.
So you ran your program that was over the summer. And then what happened next?
Yeah. Then what happened is I took some time to like glean the wisdom of that experience. And actually in the middle of that program, there was a call kind of in that same mastermind there was a challenge, 10K in 10 days. And I was like, okay, let's do this. It was going to be my birthday. So I launched this product kind of for my birthday, which I had been thinking about for so long. Speaking of like sitting on ideas, it'd been years. And I called it Massage in a Box, and it's a kit, like a self-care kit that teaches people this practical tool of cupping that a lot of massage therapists use. I use with my clients for body work. It's, people think of it as something that professionals do, but actually has this long tradition literally all over the world, grandmothers, people just doing it for themselves at home. It's like people need to do this. People need to have these kinds of skills, right? Especially we're all at home. We can't see our practitioners and we don't want to, we feel scared of the risk. It's a perfect time, but like not only giving people practical skills, but like really like sumptuous, like bath salts and oils and like all this online content of like videos that show you how to do it. And we do a Zoom call every month. So it was my attempt at a product, and you like being in your program. I mean, you've talked about this so many times, like I was able to go to you and be like, hey, like, can we do this? Like, can we make this happen and make this onboarding happen? Like literally in a few days. And part of it was, I want to build in justice, like values of like community and justice and equity into everything that I do. So I was like, let's also, there was the uprisings happening and all this stuff. I'm like, how can we support activists too? So I invited people to make donations. I was like, how can we do this? How can we make this happen? And you were like, we're on it. And literally 2 days later, we had this whole setup where people could donate and gift it and all this stuff. And it's been so successful. Not only getting the box out to people, but also gifting it to activists. And I've been able to gift it to 7 activists. And like all of this, I mean, it was a lot of work, but because of all of the automation and the tech and stuff that was happening behind the scenes, it's like now I have this thing that, like you said, I'm like, I add this automation, I tweak it a little bit, but it's basically running for me. It's like, I feel like I have a whole team that I can look to that's automated, and it's amazing. Like, I just feel so giddy about it. And so,
me too.
Yeah.
So I want to pick apart and highlight some of the things in that. So, first of all, we were able to, so you did, I think it was like Monday and your birthday was Friday or something. And you're like, I have this idea, and like, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? And I'm like, yep. Like on it.
It was.
And so
wow.
you can buy it for yourself. You can buy it as a gift for someone specific, or you can donate like any amount of money that will go towards purchasing Massage in a Box for basically communities on the front lines, folks who need self-care the most. And so for each of those 3 pieces, there has to be follow-up. There has to be acknowledgement of the purchase. There has to be the email, there has to be access to the video content that shows people how to do it. If it's a gift, we have to then say, okay, who is getting the gift? Like all of those pieces had to be first planned out and then built. And we were able to do that in 2 days. And that was only because we had already spent a year laying this foundation, doing the website, getting your basic automations in place. And that is the only reason that we were able to do that fast. And so like, if you're listening to this and you have this idea, but you don't yet have a relationship with a technical professional, and you come to somebody and you're like, yeah, can we do this? And I need it next week. Like it's probably not going to happen. It's not going to be good if it does happen, and it's going to cost you like an arm and a leg. So I love everything about that because, we talked about this sort of being in the basement. Like for so long it's like you're in your business basement and you're building these foundations, and it's not cheap. And, what's it all for? And like, then we sort of reach this moment where it's like, it's so that when you need to move, like you can move, and it can be excellent. Like it can be a really amazing experience for people. And it's just one of the most joyous work experiences that I've had to date, is being able to do that. So some people probably still don't really know like cupping and like what cups are. So there's just these little like, things, and it's so easy. Like you just push it and then you can just like stick it like, and it just, and like, I just all the time, we went to the beach and I was like using my cups at the beach and like sticking them on my shoulders and stuff. And we went to Bend actually, and we were skiing and hiking, and I forgot them. And I was like, why did I bring my cups? Because we were doing like 5-6 miles a day.
Totally.
So tell people, we'll put in the show notes, but tell people where to go to get the Massage in a Box.
Yeah, you can go to Zócalo Wellness, Zocalo wellness.com/massage, and learn all about Massage in a Box. And I love that you brought them with you. I had another client who also was like, I brought them on my vacation, and I've also done that. Like I've taken them to Mexico. I like taught somebody how to cup in Mexico, left them in Mexico with that person. Like And that, yeah, that's all, like, that is the dream, that self-care is just something that that we have the tools and that we use them, on a regular basis and really love on ourselves
Yeah.
and make it beautiful.
And I also love that it's a hyper local product. Like,
It's true.
Especially for me, it's hyper local.
It's true.
When it comes, you get it in this box and you open it up and there's like all these, the bath salts and the oils. And then there's these beautiful postcards with this amazing artwork. Tell people where those came from.
Yeah. So literally the bath salts and the artwork come from Karanda's neighbors, who are my dear friends. They live across the street. It's as local gets. So
yeah, they'd have to move in with us for it to get any more local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I loved that. And
it's so
literally
good.
one day, we were supposed to have our weekly meeting and you were texting me like, I might be late. I'm on my way back from picking up these bath salts and this artwork. And I was like, wait, you were at my house? So we had our meeting very safely masked in the driveway, which was fun.
It was so fun. Yeah. And that is something that, as I do more online stuff, really feels important, is to like support local economy, and especially local makers, because they just don't get supported very much. And source local, reach global, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. All right. So that is a beautiful journey. And a lot of the health professionals that have come to me, probably from your referrals, and literally I've had people say, I'll say like, oh, how did you find me? Well, I saw Adriana's stuff and it looks so great and her stuff is so put together and like, oh, I want that. So wow. Thank you for that. I hope if you're a wellness professional or anybody doing sort of one-to-one listening to this, like what I want folks to take away from this in part is that you can pivot and you don't have to be bound by whatever model is sort of like, the accepted thing in your industry. Like you can go outside of that. You can look to other industries and other expertise for inspiration. Mm-hmm. And you can sort of craft your business into what you want it to be. Like that's what I get from that and what I loved about being part of that journey. And I know, especially in the areas of health and wellness, like, you were in the same space. You were like, online, that's not a thing. So what is something that you have, like, especially now after having gone through this, what's something that you have a unique or controversial perspective on that is kind of not the accepted wisdom in the wellness space?
In the wellness space. Yeah, I mean, just being online, first of all. But there are people online. I'm not the only one, but especially among acupuncturists. I mean, I really believe that self-care is revolutionary, like not just a cute cliche, but literally changes systems, because the systems that be are predicated on exploitation of bodies. From the very beginning and still happening, it's not just that there was slavery and indentured servitude and seizure of lands for free. Yeah, it's still happening. We like our agriculture, our restaurant industry, our childcare, like things that are incredibly basic to our daily lives. Many are staffed by migrants that have no citizenship and work under the table. So, and that's all heavy. But when it comes to self-care, it's like, how do we exploit ourselves? Especially as entrepreneurs, like how do we internalize that idea that we can just use our bodies like commodity, that they're not these like beautiful, intrinsically valuable things that we get to inhabit, and so I think self-care is a doorway into this kind of incredibly personal revolution that can happen where we no longer, treat our bodies like burdens, but as like this miracle.
I feel that so hard because I'm struggling right now with just rest, that's my thing. And so like trying to get more exercise. Okay. So here, this story literally illustrates, we got an exercise bike. And so I was like, okay. And so I got up early one morning and I got on and I did a workout. And then I had to go right into like taking care of the dog and the cats and all of these things, and didn't end up eating until like 11 or 11:30 in the morning, and was so hangry. And it's like, because of all this stuff and all this obligation of, modern life, it's like there's not even time to both work out and eat. Like, those are pretty basic.
Yeah. And like
fundamental.
And isn't that absurd when you talk about, because like, wait, aren't we working to get food to eat and shelter ourselves? Like, isn't that actually like literally the
isn't that the point
of working?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know, it's absurd. I do it too. I do the same thing. Like I said, I'm in this profession also for selfish reasons, because I am learning this thing. And it's just like, you sit with it long enough, you're like, this is absurd. Like, why do we literally, I was like literally thinking about how much of a miracle our bodies are. Like they are as complex as, any description of the universe. They are incredibly complex, even just on a basic level. And you're like, how the heck does all of this come together so I can grab a glass, or I can fight a cold? Or it's like, it's not an exaggeration to say it's a miracle. Like, it's absurd.
Yeah. So, and getting online as a health professional allows you to expand that reach and also to scale yourself without burning out. So if you're listening to this, wellness people, like just open your mind.
Yeah. And
take that first step.
Exactly. And so many people need this information, right? That's the thing. That's also what I mean by revolutionary. It's like, yeah, we all need to know this, and so online has such a bigger reach. I'm like, yeah, make this mainstream, make this normal, right? What we're talking about as healers and healthcare practitioners. And online allows that to be true, and it doesn't take away from the personal touch of connecting with people. That's the thing. That's what your Twitter soup story illustrates.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes people think too, if they give away too much, then they're not going to be able to get clients. Yeah. It's like, that's not true.
Yeah. It hasn't been true.
I find that the more in my space, the more that I show people how the sausage is made, the more like, oh, I don't want to do that.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think, that translates into the healing professions as just like being with, right? Like people just need someone to be with them. Because we know in our heart of hearts how to take care of ourselves, but we need that accountability or support or community or whatever it is, a trusted person or people to help us through. And I think it makes sense that you have so many healers coming to you, because I think that's what you do with tech. You're like, you're going to be okay. You're going to get through this, and it's going to be amazing on the other side, Yeah.
What do you think is a common piece of wisdom in your industry that you think is total bullshit?
That self-care is doing, that self-care is stuff. That it's what you buy, that even that self-care is going to somebody else to tell you how to do it, that healing doesn't happen intrinsically, that's
a huge one.
Yeah. That we're broken. I think that's a big one, actually, that gets me. It's like that we have to fix ourselves, right? That's like self-care plus capitalism.
What's a mistake that people that are in your audience make like people who maybe would be massage in a box clients or people who are seeking wellness, what's one mistake that we make that you just wish you'd be like, stop doing that?
Thinking that you can't do it yourself, thinking that that it's inaccessible, that it's scary, that you don't have the capacity to learn to use this kind of tool, right? That it's too complex, or that it's not worth it, like that your self-care isn't worth it. That's, I think, one of the biggest mistakes. To not invest, really. And I'm not saying you have to invest in massage in a box, but just investing in yourself, right, on a daily basis.
And that could be time, that could be attention, it could be money. There's so many ways to invest in yourself. Like, I was having a really, really bad Monday, and thanks to my community, so I have a little Voxer pod of my business besties, and we were talking about this. We were talking about self-care and anxiety and depression and all these things. And I had all this stuff to do. I felt so behind, and I was like, let me just take a nap. Let me just and we had a guy come to fix the exercise bike. So I was still hangry because it was like he came before I had breakfast, and so I had to be masked up while he was in the house. So I couldn't eat or drink, and I was just like, rawr! And I was like, let me just take a nap, like a 20-minute nap. And then the bike was fixed, so I got on the bike and I did a 10-minute, just like a warm-up ride. I didn't even get like into exercise clothes. I was like, no, because then I won't do it. I just like get on here and just pedal for a few minutes and get my heart rate up. And then I actually had a really productive day, like afternoon, evening. And so I think the investing is, and entrepreneurs I think are so prone to just keep pushing. And that's how we get into trouble.
Yeah. It's expensive to not invest in yourself, It
really is in so many ways. This has been amazing. I always like to ask, to wrap us up, about our theme, begin as you mean to go on. Like, what does that mean to you, and how do you feel like you embody that? I know I have an opinion, but how do you feel like that comes into play for yourself?
I would love to hear your opinion. I think you called it before, which is like building that foundation, however long it takes. And it's cyclical often, right? Like I feel like I'm still going back and checking on the foundation. But really, whether it's self-care or online business or whatever, like checking in on those foundational things and building from there, because I don't want to build a janky house,
Yep.
And I want to feel like there's something really solid that I can use and, rely on going into the future. When I do my self-care, when I do my foundational practices in my business, it feels so much more satisfying to be like, oh, I know this is sustainable. I know this is going to last me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. I cannot wait to bring it to the people. Tell the people where they can find you, where you hang out on the internet if they want to find out more about you.
Yeah. So Zócalo Wellness is my handle everywhere. So Zocalo Wellness. It's like the town square in Spanish is what the Zócalo is. Nice. That's where we gather. So online, it's ZócaloWellness.com. On Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, even Twitter, although I never tweet. It's all at Zócalo Wellness. And and on my website, there's some freebies and I have a YouTube channel, The Recharge Sanctuary, which has some great stuff on it. So yeah, those are the places you can find me.
Yeah, we didn't even get to that. You have a whole YouTube series. So do you have a link to your YouTube from your website?
Ooh, I believe I do. I think it's
okay.
Zócalo
and we'll put your YouTube directly in the show notes too, so people can get to it. Because you have a whole you made a TV series basically. We didn't even have time to get to it. So, but it's awesome. Oh, too much good stuff. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I hope
friends.
y'all have enjoyed this conversation. And as always, this is the time when I invite you to go, if you found value in this conversation, in this listening, go and say thank you by leaving a 5-star rating and review. And think about that one person that you're thinking of right now who really needs to hear this. Maybe their self-care is out of whack. Maybe their tech is out of whack. Maybe it's both. Send them this episode. All right. Thank you so much. And I'll see y'all next time. And until then, don't forget to begin as you mean to go on.